he will do his best to undo some of the damage that Brexit has done. Brexit in general, and also Brexit in particular, the ludicrous deal negotiated by the ludicrous Frost with the ludicrous lordship. So and I think at some unspecified point in the future, you will be able to turn to the British people and you will be able to say, this is as good as Brexit gets. This is as good as it gets. Keir Starmer's calculation today is that he can make it a bit better than it currently is. I'm not sure I agree with him for two reasons. The first is that the European Union are not going to reward Keir Starmer, if he becomes Prime Minister, for not being Boris Johnson. That there isn't a sort of emotional legacy, I don't think, that we get to enjoy. That the European Union will continue to treat us like a trading rival and a third country. I don't think, I could be wrong, I hope I'm wrong on this, but I've hoped I've been wrong about everything I've ever said about Brexit, and it hasn't happened yet. So I hope I'm wrong about this, but I don't think there's going to be any bonus from the European Union negotiators in response to Keir Starmer taking over, despite his well-established history of understanding the benefits of membership and his relatively hard work to bring about a second referendum, because as anybody who's ever been near a building site will tell you, measure twice, cut once, which is what we should have done with the referendum and what Keir Starmer passionately believed. But he lost that fight, and so he moves on. Only your sort of tabloidy hooligans and Brexit denialists and unicorn collectors will still be pretending that the fact that he supported a second referendum has any bearing whatsoever upon what Labour policies will be moving forward. He, unlike some of us, accepts that defeat, accepts that loss, and recognises, rightly or wrongly, that he cannot campaign on rejoining the European Union, right? So what is he doing instead? He is announcing 5 ways in which he will improve upon what the current situation currently is. He knows, and I know, that it is never going to be anywhere near as good as membership itself. And that's why some people are very unhappy with him. Some people are very much of the view that he should be already outlining the inevitability and indeed the desirability of rejoining the European Union. Now, I disagree with that. I wish I didn't. Again, I just think that the calculation is still there until, and people hate this because it essentially casts them as sheep who've been herded into a ludicrous position without even realising it. But until the owner of The Sun and the owner of the Daily Mail and the owner of the Telegraph and the publisher of the Spectator, until all of these people put their hands up and say, we're really sorry, we've essentially done, what was that thing called? Not PPE. What was the stuff called where you got sold something and then you got a refund years later? PPI. Brexit's PPI. And until the people that sold you PPI stand up and say, we're really sorry for selling you PPI, we can't actually give you a refund, but we can certainly stop trying to pretend that it was a really good idea, and we can all get on with the business of undoing the damage done and the money lost by flogging you all this PPI. So until Rupert Murdoch and Viscount Rothermere and Paul Dacre and Andrew Neil and I don't know who edits. I don't know who was editing The Sun at the time. The Gallagher bloke at the Times who pulled the story after Downing Street rang him up. Or until all of these people put their hands up and say, sorry, we flogged you an absolute dud, then it's not going to be sellable to the British people. Not when you've got the massed ranks of the British media, including these weird new television channels that have been set up by Brexit supporters because they need an alternative reality for the people still swallowing the Kool-Aid, still chomping on the unicorn steaks. It's never going to happen until it becomes absolutely irrefutable, until you are having your face rubbed in the reality of it, and the reality is as good as it gets.